All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Luke, and I'm the music director here. And to start off the service, we will have two hymns. Hymn number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door, followed by hymn 298, Wake Now, My Senses.
Good morning. Welcome to UUCC. I'm Regina Nelson, your lay leader. I'm thrilled to see everyone here today, whether in the sanctuary or joining us on Zoom or YouTube. If you are in the sanctuary, be aware that this service is recorded for YouTube. Tables at the back are available if you prefer not to appear on camera. Also, please refrain from talking during the recording to avoid unintentional broadcasting and silence your cell phones. Visitors can explore literature about our UU faith at the entrance and the community room. You can also join our Zoom social time after the service. Discover more about our church, programs for children and youth, and weekly opportunities to connect with us on our website, uucommunitychurch.org. Situated on Shaver Road in Portage, Michigan, our church on an ancestral lands of the Peoria and Potawatomi people proudly displays a rainbow flag and Black Lives Matter sign, symbolizing our inclusive community dedicated to creating a just and sustainable world. We are a community on diverse spiritual journeys, and we enjoy hearing differing points of view from my minister, Reverend G. Ludwig McCartney, guest ministers, lay leaders, and guest speakers. Today, Erin Augustine, Vice President of Sustainability for Operations and Supply Chain for Oatly, the oat milk company, will discuss Oatly's sustainability mission and projects. I'll introduce her, give you a little bit about her background, and she'll come up to speak later. Erin has a bachelor's degree in environmental engineering from Northwestern University. She has worked in environmental education, nonprofit, environmental consulting, and corporate sustainability roles. Her first visit to UUCC in 2020, we were just talking about this, sparked the creation of our sustainability group, which is still going strong. Thanks to everyone who contributed to this morning's service, our greeters, musician, tech team, coffee host, and each of you. We truly appreciate your presence and contributions. Now I have some announcements, and as a member of your stewardship committee, I'm very excited about this announcement. Even though if you were here last night for the celebration, thank you all, and we did thank everybody who participated in the pledge, but we have an update from last night. Our pledge drive is complete, and the total now is $112,000. So thank you all. Yeah, we're very excited about this and how you all stepped up to meet this goal, and we'll be happy to talk more about this as we talk about the budget for next year and how important everybody's contribution is, and so thank you all. During the month of April, we are holding a special collection to benefit the Recovery Institute of Southwest Michigan, and their mission is to provide support services for people who are experiencing substance abuse or mental health diagnoses. To give, put a check made out to UUCC with Generosity Sunday in that collection basket or mail it to the building. You can also give online by visiting our website or using the Vanco app on a smartphone or tablet. Our game gathering group will meet on the lower level of UUCC on Saturday, May 4th, from 1 to 4 p.m. for an afternoon of board and card games. Come and bring your favorite game and a snack to share. People of all ages and gaming abilities are welcome to attend. Our climate justice partners at Hope for Creation extend an invitation to attend one or both of their upcoming climate grief sharing circles on Thursday, May 1st, 6:30 to 8. That one will be at Sky Ridge Church for the Brethren, or Sunday, June 1st, 4 to 5:30 p.m. here at UUCC for an opportunity to connect with others and honor the grief that arises from ongoing and ecological crises. Visit our website to learn more or to register. Now it's time to light the chalice. Today, globally, Unitarian Universalists continue to light the chalice. As truth seekers, we pursue a resilient truth that withstands questioning and doubts. The flame serves as a constant reminder of our shared values, bringing them to life in the community. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Today's reading is Beatitudes for Earth Sunday by Richard Gilbert. Blessed are the heavens, for they declare the power of creation. Blessed is the earth, our beloved home, for she is a planet of plenitude. Blessed are the waters thereon, for they give rise to living things. Blessed is the land, for it is the source of life abundant. Blessed is the air we breathe, for it fires us to life and love. Blessed are the beasts of the field, for they are glorious to behold. Blessed are the birds of the air, for they carve a graceful arc in the sky. Blessed are the mountains and the seas and the valleys, for their variety make rich our habitat. Blessed are the fields of grain, the orchards of fruit, for they give substance, asking nothing in return. Blessed are the dwellers on earth, for they cherish the privilege of living upon it. Blessed are they who protect the earth and all her creatures, from the plants of the fields to the trees of the forest, for their reward shall be harmony with the web of existence. Rejoice and be glad, for the earth and her people are one.
Low below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land hearts and say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the sea. Drifting here with my ship's compassion, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves uphold me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
And I'm going to turn this on because I like to move. I can't believe it's been 5 years. And I also can't believe it's here in person. I had a moment after Joe asked me, it was weeks later that I realized that I would get to be here in person, that it wasn't an online ask. So that feels really special to be here in this space 5 years later after we first talked. Probably almost 5 years to the day, actually. I'm sure it was April. And I get to talk to you about Oatly. So 5 years ago, I talked a lot about personal sustainability, and you all have been on your own personal sustainability journeys. And today I get to talk to you about Oatly, which is my day job. I'm lucky enough to get to do this work in personal life and in professional life. So maybe if you want to go to the next slide. I did bring slides, and I will introduce you to Oatly sort of in the process, and I'll introduce you a little more to myself in the process as well. But I want to start us and root us and ground us in the food system, because I think that's something we all share. We all eat food, and most of us have a choice about what food we eat. I mean, I think it's important to recognize that there are a bunch of people in the world that maybe don't have a lot of choice in the food that they eat. But I think a lot of us in the room, and probably a lot of people online, have some choices in that space. And so I also want to ground us in climate, in the climate crisis, of course, that we're all in the middle of, and recognizing, that part of our role to play in the climate crisis is thinking about what we eat. And I would encourage people to consider a shift to plant-based food some of the time. Maybe all of the time. Maybe for some people, all of the time plant-based food is the right way to go. Maybe for some of us, myself included, a shift to more plant-based food is a some of the time journey in our process. If you go on to the next slide, and I think it's important to talk about the why, talking about the food system. So if you go one more, I think it's not news to all of us, because I really love the fine print on this slide. It says, scientists and most reasonable people on Earth agree that we must keep, the warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, which of course is a sort of a global agreement that we've all stacked hands on and said, hey, we want to limit the climate change to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And governments are signing up for that, many of them. And companies are signing up to that, many of them, not all, of course. And I would say humans and citizens are also signing up to that in their own belief system. And so if we talk about the food system is responsible for 1/3 of all global greenhouse gas emissions. That's the whole food system as a whole. And if you click once more, and then we think about a little, if we double click on the agriculture, on the animal-based agriculture part of the food system. So of the global food system is 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions. Within that, animal-based food system is half. So half of that 1/3 of emissions is coming from the animal-based food system. And when I say the animal-based food system, I mean everything it takes to grow meat and dairy and all of the other animal products that we consume. So that includes the agriculture to grow the food for the animals that then we eat them and their products. And that land required to grow the food for the animals is 80% of agricultural land. So it's a lot of land use. That animal-based food system is also responsible for biodiversity loss, deforestation, and it's only providing 17% of the global calories. So I would argue that the system is not meeting our needs. It's not meeting our nutrition needs, and it's certainly not operating within planetary boundaries. If you go to the next slide. It's overusing these resources. Next slide. And not meeting our nutritional needs. And so if you click one more, so that brings us to, I can now introduce you to Oatly. So Oatly exists to help people lead healthier lives without recklessly taxing the planet. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, we make oat milk, but our mission and our purpose is to transform the food system and to help people lead healthier lives without recklessly taxing the planet in the process. If you go to the next slide. We are a company, we're a very young company in the scheme of things, and we're built on this idea of change. Yes, of course, we make products, and we hope that those products change both people, humans, and their own health and their own eating habits, and also the food system, that food system that we're all a part of. So Oatly was created about 30 years ago. We were created by a couple of scientists at Lund University in Sweden. And they were studying lactose intolerance. And they were studying what happens in our bodies and sort of the health aspect of lactose intolerance. And they realized that it would be much more fulfilling to create a solution for lactose intolerant people. So they created oat milk. They started making oat milk, and they specifically chose oats for a reason. I mean, there are obviously other plant-based milks that we can drink. We can drink almond milk and soy milk and others. But our founders created it from oats because oats can provide, a delicious, healthy alternative with less resources. So oats can be grown, lots of different places in the world, and they require less agricultural inputs. And so therefore the impact on the planet is less. If you want to go on to the next slide. So just in case you don't know Oatly products, just in case you don't see them in your grocery store, I wanted to give you a slide of what it is we make. So it's generally oat milk. The oats are our number one ingredient. It's in the name, it's in the product, it's all of that. What you see up top, and some of this is in Swedish, actually not all of it, but some of it. Up top is what we call drinks. So my favorite product is the barista, right there. It's in a gray box. So if you go to like a Starbucks or another coffee shop and I order an oat milk latte, that's what they're gonna make it with. It foams, it's good with espresso, that sort of thing. You can also buy it at home. I dump it in my coffee even without foaming it. It's still fine. And then the other drinks are like a more milk replacement. So for cereal, for those people who drink milk. And so that's the vast majority of our products, are those what we call drinks, liquid drinks. But then we also make yogurt. We make ice cream. Those are some of my favorites too. These pints I can find those in my grocery stores. And we make in Europe, we make cooking cream and some other really interesting things. In the US, we're starting to make cream cheese. Also cream cheese to go on top of your bagels, and other spreadable cheeses. And so in general, these are sort of a one-for-one replacement for the cow's milk, if that's what you're accustomed to drinking. And if you want to go then on to the next slide. And just a brief sort of footprint. So I live here in the US. The headquarters is in Sweden. We have manufacturing in Sweden. We also have manufacturing in the US. And you can see shaded in blue are the places where we sell our products, so the markets where you can find our products. It's expanding, though, all the time. I think Mexico could be shaded blue. If not already, it will be soon. So we're constantly expanding into other markets. But it's also quite small. We're not available all over the world. And if you think about lactose intolerance, in the Asia, there's lots of opportunities there. There's just from a general genetics and biology, there's quite a few lactose intolerant people in that part of the world. And so I think it's important, Oatly was created as a product for lactose intolerant people, but there's lots and lots of people who can drink lactose just fine, and they're making the choice because it tastes good, because they like the nutrition, because they like the lower climate footprint. So if you want to go on to the next slide, that's where I want to start spending some of our time. So Oatly does a lot of work in the climate space, and we do a lot of work data-based. You won't be surprised because we're founded by a couple of scientists, very rooted in data, very rooted in the science of this. And so this is new information that Oatly's products, the drinks, are a climate solutions product. And what that means, there's a new framework externally by a group called the Exponential Roadmap Initiative. And they have created this framework to help us identify products that are better for the planet. And in this case, better for the planet based on climate, based on CO2 emissions. And so if your product, like the Oatly drinks are, have less than 50% of the CO2 emissions of the category, then you can be a climate solutions product. So we measure our own footprint, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. And then we compare that to the cow's milk. And when it's less than 50%, that's sort of an indicator for consumers, is my hope, that consumers will start to be able to say, oh, these are products, when I want to make a choice, if I want to grocery shop with climate sort of like in my lens, with a climate lens, in addition to the nutrition lens, in addition to all the other values you hold when you're in the grocery store, you can start to then see climate solutions products as a piece of information that will help you choose which products you want to buy. If you can move to the next slide. And we declare our own footprint on all of our packages, almost all of our packages. Specifically so you as a consumer can make that choice and can know. Now, it's a little tricky because it's here, it's right here. It says the climate footprint is 0.29 kilograms of CO2 per, I think, kilogram of product. And a kilogram of product is about a liter. And that's really great. That's the whole footprint. So everything that it takes to make that liter of product, it tells you the emissions. But it's one number. It's just a number. So if you want to go to the next slide, we're doing a lot of work to educate consumers. What does that number mean? And the most easiest way to know what that number means is to be able to compare it to something else. So my dream would be that you would walk up to that shelf, frankly, every shelf, maybe every restaurant, and you would be able to see this product has a climate footprint of 0.54. This one has a product climate footprint of 0.6. This one's 2.5. And then if that matters to you, again, it's your values-based grocery shopping, you then can make that choice. So Oatly's done a lot of work to inform consumers. We have a very cheeky marketing team, and they really like to poke at people. So they do things like this. They take out a billboard that says, you know, we've done our climate footprint, we've published it on our packs. Hey, dairy company, if you'd like to calculate yours and share it, we'll give you this free ad space. And so over the last 2 years, we've been putting these billboards up all over the place. They go in magazines, they've been in all kinds of print, they've been in subway stations, and you know, we're poking, right? We're provoking, we're making a joke, but also not saying, look, consumers should be able to have this information, and there aren't very many of us publishing it. So no one's taken us up on the offer for free ad space. We do have some small, like local farm dairy farmers, usually they're organic, that love to engage. Because usually there's, you know, like some, you know, I was just at a conference this week and there was a small dairy company out of California that's working on climate neutral and carbon neutral products. And so I love it because they then would be a climate solutions product too. Right? As they're decreasing their CO2 emissions more than 50% below the category, they're doing the work. They're doing the important, wonderful job of reducing their CO2 emissions, and then they, even though they are dairy, would join us as a climate solutions product. So one of the reasons I love that framework is it's not just a us versus them, it's a can everyone get below 50% of the category. And that also means then that as the category changes, so as these small dairy companies, again, they're usually small dairy companies, reduce their climate footprint and become climate solutions products, as consumers choose more plant-based milks, the category changes. And in order for somebody like Oatly to stay a climate solutions product, we have to keep getting better. Which I love, because we need these innovations, we need these step changes, we need the whole category, and that's just milk. We need the whole food system to get better. That is absolutely my wish, is that the whole food system reduces their CO2 emissions, and you as consumers push that along with your buying choices and with your questions. So if you go to the next slide. This is our current, a couple years old, but our current comparison against milk. Against cow's milk. And so we calculate our own product climate footprint end to end. That's everything, right? So it's growing the ingredients, it's the packaging, it's the transportation, it's the manufacturing of our own products in our own factories and in our partners. It's the transportation to the customer and the consumer. And same for dairy. So you can see this is 3 of the areas, but this is climate, so that would be CO2. This is land use, and this is water use. And you can see, of course, the drastic difference between this is general oat milk. This isn't even actually the Oatly calculation. This is a third party's study of this. And so you can see oats versus cows, just the drastic difference between the two. And if you go to one more slide. And so what I was saying was we have to continue to decarbonize our own supply chain. We have to continue to reduce what was, I think, in yellow on that last slide, the oats footprint, because of course dairy is going to be reducing their footprint. Absolutely they are. They should. They're doing innovative things too, because everyone is in this together, and all what I would call responsible companies are working on this. And many, many, many companies are doing the responsible thing, and they're working on this. Which then, of course, justifies even more the fact that we have to decarbonize our own supply chain and continue to reduce our own climate footprint. If you go to the next slide. And this is what our climate footprint looks like. So we publish this every year. We have an annual sustainability report. Most companies do. So if you're curious about brands or companies, I would look for their sustainability report. Companies talk about sustainability in all different ways. There is no standard required reporting format yet. It's coming in Europe, and that will be helpful. But I think there's a lot to be learned about a company based on how they're talking about it. So by all means, one of my recommendations, if you want to step into this space further, is to really look at people's sustainability reports. This is how we talk about our footprint. And again, we're a data-driven company. So this is where I work. This is my work. This comes to like Erin's introduction of me. I work on the operations and supply chain. So the supply chain is the value chain that is everything from the growing of the oats and the sourcing of the oats to the transportation. So if we look at ingredients here, this one, that's talking about the growing of all of our ingredients, but oats is the number one. Oats is like 80-some% of our ingredients, so that's the biggest impact. The hash, this stripy one, that's transportation. That's both inbound and outbound transportation, so all of the transportation within our supply chain. Energy consumption, that blue stripy one, looks like a pinstripe suit. That is the energy consumed at both our own factories and our production partners. So it's all the energy. That includes warehouses and offices as well. Nope, I lied. It doesn't include warehouses. It does include offices. And then you can see packaging is number 4, and then others come after that. So the biggest 4 opportunities for us and the biggest 4 areas that we're focused on are those big parts of the pie. So focused on ingredients, focused on transportation, focused on energy use, and focused on packaging. And then within each of those, we have goals and milestones and that sort of thing. So for example, to reduce our emissions from ingredients, we're really focused on more regenerative agriculture. So having oats grown with regenerative agriculture, and then us sourcing those oats, it's a little tricky to be totally fair and transparent. Supply chains are complicated. And we source with the mill. We source our oats from a mill. So in order to do this work, we have to partner with our mill, and we have to work with the mill to partner with the farmers. But they can't tell us that, Regina, you and Eric are now oat farmers, okay? You guys are growing oats regeneratively. My parents are right behind them. You guys are oat farmers. I'm sorry, you're not growing them regeneratively. But, so we've given Regina, in this example, we've given Regina and Eric, we're working with you, we're giving you premiums to grow oats regeneratively, but you both sell to the same mill. And then we buy those oats. And so I cannot say, as a transparent company that wants to be truthful and open and honest and transparent, I can't say that I'm using your oats. I can say that I am partnering with farmers, I can say that I'm increasing regenerative practices, I can say all these great things, and I can talk about the supply shed that I pull oats from, and I can talk about the equivalent amount of regeneratively grown oats. It's very tricky to talk about it that way, but that's how we do it in a transparent and open way. And I would say as consumers, that's how you know that a company is being open and transparent and quippy little one-line sentences, while my marketing team loves them, can be greenwashing. It's really important that companies are very descriptive when they tell you about their sustainability programs. So anyways, that's what we're doing in the ingredient space. In transportation space, we're working on, we have a commitment towards 100% sustainable ground transportation. So that means that we're taking the diesel trucks, which is, especially here in the US, the way most things get transported, and we're trying to move away from diesel trucks and trying to move them on trains because they're so much more effective and efficient, and trying to move them with electric trucks and renewable fuels. Now that last one in the US is a very small market, renewable fuels. It's biofuels. I mean, they're coming. Biodiesel is coming. We're seeing it in Europe. We can actually source it and use it in Europe. It's very hard to find it and source it and use it here in the US, but it's coming. It is. And then in the energy consumption space, we're working towards 100% renewable energy. That's both electricity and natural gas. The electricity is easier, much easier. There's so much solar, there's so much wind, there's so much hydro. We can source 100% renewable electricity today. Can and do source 100% renewable electricity today all across the globe. Heat is a lot harder. Replacing that natural gas is a lot harder. So that's the space that I do a lot of work in, is that heat. We call it thermal energy and decarbonizing that part of the supply chain. And then packaging, of course, we're working for our packaging to be renewable and or recycled. And it's a combination of those things. So renewable would be, those renewable resources like paper, like bio-based plastics, that sort of thing, that would be renewable. And then if it can't be, the plastics then can be recycled. And also the paper can be both, often cases. So this is our work, and this is where we're working to reduce our own footprint, all the while telling you that as consumers, today you make the choice to buy Oatly instead of cow's milk. On average, it's more than a 50% reduction of CO2 emissions. When we do the math, we do it versus cow's milk. It's somewhere in the range of 44% less than cow's milk to 80% less, depending on the product, the market, all of those details. But that's all published. So again, if you go to Oatly.com, you can read the full, 80-page life cycle assessment if you want to. It's out there for you. Next slide, please. But it's not just about climate. So we've been talking a lot about climate. I love the climate grief sessions. That sounded amazing. I think I might need to come to one. Because we all are feeling this feeling, at least a lot of us are feeling this stress about climate. But it's all connected. I mean, when I'm talking about regeneratively grown oats, yes, it's lower CO2 emissions, but that also improves soil health. It also improves biodiversity. There's all these other nature metrics that in nature, I would say, is our next crisis. Nature and water combined are the next crisis beyond the climate crisis. So, you can't think about climate unless you're thinking about nature. You can't think about nature. Also, there's a lot of people. Those are farmers, right? Those are farmer livelihoods. There's people in our supply chain. That's deeply connected too. Of course, we're working in that space. Human rights is a huge space of work, a huge body of work. And also for us as a food company, nutrition becomes part of that as well. So again, as you're thinking about being a responsible consumer, those are the kinds of impact areas that I would be looking at. Is a company working in all of these impact areas, and how do they talk about it? How do they identify their risks, their opportunities, and how do they talk about the work that they're doing? Because it's not just about climate. They're all so interconnected that we need to be thinking about and worrying about, unfortunately, and working on all of these different impact areas. Next slide, please. And then just a little plug that our next, I showed you 2023 data, but 2024 data will be published soon. What day is today? Tuesday is the first publication. It's a very long report, which is just sort of the technical, and then more consumer-friendly comes out in May. So you can start to read about that if you'd like. Next slide. And then I think we've talked about this along the way, but I just wanted to sort of wrap up with a call to action. As consumers, I think you need to know that you have power. I mean, every time you're buying something, you're voting with your dollars. And every time you send an email to a company, or you interact with them on social media, or you interact with them in that way, you're sending a message to them about what your values are. And so, on the one hand, I think it's completely unfair that we as consumers have to be experts on everything. That we need to know. You need to know what a product climate footprint means and what it's calculated, how it's calculated and how you should compare it. I think that is completely unfair, and you should know that we're working on that. I mean, companies are working to align, I would say again, responsible companies are working to align calculation frameworks, communication frameworks, reporting frameworks. We all are working in that space so that you hopefully someday soon won't have to work so hard to understand it all. But if you have the time and you have the space, anything you can do to educate yourself, anything that you can do to ask those questions, read people's sustainability reports, engage with them either directly or on social media. All of that matters. We have a whole team of people. They're called community managers, and they are the ones engaging with consumers who ask questions and consumers who care. And I think that's really wonderful. The more of us that are doing that, the more companies have to respond. And the more they hear that consumers care. Because sometimes I hear, I'll tell you, in industry forums, that consumers aren't shopping with sustainability as their number one. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I'll be honest, if you buy an oat milk latte because you like the taste, I'll still take the CO2 savings. The CO2 savings are still delivered. So if you buy based on taste alone and end up with a Climate Solutions product or a lower CO2 emission product, great. But even better if you're doing it intentionally and if you have the time and space to be really intentional about those products. And I would also suggest, considering where and when within your diet you can have less meat. Whether that's one day a week, whether that's a meatless Monday, whether that's a month, and you try a month and you see how it goes, whether it's a meal, whether you say for breakfast, I'm going to eliminate animal-based products. Yogurts. Yogurt would be my really hard one there, by the way. I live in yogurt junkie. So those would be some areas where I think I would encourage people to step in or step further in if you're already in that space. And I'm going to sit down, and then later we have time for questions, right? Correct. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin, for that useful information to help us make informed choices about food and to save our planet. So that was very helpful. Now it's time for our offering. Our lives are filled with many blessings. Let's come together with gratitude and love to share part of these gifts to support our religious community. You can show your love by giving in a practical way to keep our space vibrant and share our positive message. Look at the screen for ways to give, and our ushers are here to collect your offering. Together, we make a meaningful impact through our shared generosity. Now it's time to extinguish the chalice. As we extinguish the chalice, let us remember to keep the flame awake and alive in our souls, and let the light of the chalice bind us together, showing us the way. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing reading is a prayer for healing from the UN Environmental Sabbath Service Earth Day in 1990. It has a refrain that gets repeated, so if you pick it up and you want to say it with me, please feel free. To bring new life to the land, to restore the waters, to refresh the air, we join with the earth and with each other. To renew the forests, to care for the planets, to protect the creatures, we join with the earth and with each other. To celebrate the seas, to rejoice in the sunlight, to sing the song of the stars, we join with the earth and with each other. To recall our destiny, to renew our spirits, to reinvigorate our bodies, we join with the earth and with each other. To recreate the human community, to promote justice and peace, To remember our children, we join with the earth and with each other. We join together as many diverse and expressions of one living mystery for the healing of the earth and the renewal of all life. May it be so.